Okay, for Friday, we're starting to look at the synthesis essay. The response that I will show you student examples from relates to the topic of eminent domain. If you don't know what that is, that's okay. I wasn't terribly clear on it either at first, but you will learn about it in the prompt. I just want to make a note that for A-Day students, you will have to do the eminent domain responses, and I didn't make that discussion board due until Sunday so that you have plenty of time to post and respond to other people if you would like. And then I will go over in Monday's video, I will go over what scores the essays got and why they got those scores. So I would recommend watching this video before synthesis essay 1. And obviously, since A-Day students will be the ones in class taking this, before we start the synthesis essay, I will happily talk about any scores that you had questions about. But I will probably make this module available before Monday so that A-Day people have a chance to check out this video if they would like. And of course, any B-Day people who want to can as well. So anyways, that's my plan. So let's take a look at the prompt. Now for the synthesis essay, there's so many pages in the prompt that I had to post it as a PDF. And I will have to do the same thing in the online synthesis essay. So I won't be able to have the pages in the actual quiz. It will have to open up in a new page. So thus the whole make sure you stay on the quiz page thing kind of goes out the window, because obviously you will have to keep switching back and forth between the quiz page and the synthesis prompt. So anyways, here's the eminent domain prompt. This total time represents all 3 essays, of course. And then for this essay, they suggest you spend about 55 minutes on this, which would mean about 15 minutes reading the question, analyzing and evaluating sources, and 40 minutes writing your response. Now, of course, keep in mind on the actual exam, you may want to spend more like 10 minutes on this, because you do have to read the rhetorical prompt, and that can sometimes be a little lengthy and require a little bit of analysis. So just don't dilly-dally too much on this question on the AP exam. But for Monday's purposes, I am setting a time limit of 90 minutes. So you should have way more time than necessary to actually do this and hopefully do it very well. Okay, eminent domain. Eminent domain is the power governments have to acquire property from private owners for public use. The rationale behind eminent domain is that governments have greater legal authority over lands within their dominion than do private owners. Eminent domain has been instituted in one way or another throughout the world for hundreds of years. So they have given you 6 sources for this particular essay that includes the introductory information for each source. You must synthesize material from at least 3 of the sources and incorporate it into a coherent, well-developed essay that defends, challenges, or qualifies the notion that eminent domain is productive and beneficial. So that's essentially your prompt right there. Eminent domain is productive and beneficial, or of course you could take the position that eminent domain is bad and wrong. So, entirely your choice. Obviously, if the sources lean hard in one direction, then doesn't matter what you think, I'd probably go with that direction. But if you have sources that are weighted fairly evenly and you feel that you can use them to, go with what you believe, great, good for you. So when you're thinking about organizing this essay, you'd be thinking about your position and you'd be thinking about your line of reasoning. For what reasons do you think eminent domain is good, or for what reasons do you think it is bad? And you would want to organize your sources so that they support your line of reasoning. You don't just want to take a source and be like, all right, well, I'll talk about this source for paragraph 2 and this other source for paragraph 3 and this other source for paragraph 4. Just summarizing the sources is not actually effective argumentation. You really want to focus on the line of reasoning. Okay, So they do want you to cite the sources, and we haven't talked about citation much, but citation for these sources, you can either just refer to them as source A, source B, source C, so on and so forth, or you can refer to them by this little description in the parentheses. Anytime you use information from one of these sources, you should have one of these things in there, either source A or U.S. Department of Justice. They don't seem to care which one, but they must be in there. Okay, so let's just glance through the sources. Now, I do recommend reading these sources, even though you are not actually writing this essay, but at least give them like a really solid skim, just so you can get an idea of the position these sources take. Some of them may be kind of neutral, but a lot of them have some slant, and what they choose to report upon can definitely influence the way that someone might choose to write this essay. So we have a couple of articles here. This one, you can probably tell how this author feels about eminent domain from the title. So we're arguing some discrimination in eminent domain. That carries on to that one. Then we have kind of an opposing position there, an important tool for community revitalization. And then we have a political cartoon. The political cartoon is always my favorite. So they will always have one visual source in the synthesis essay, typically some type of cartoon. So here we have the three little pigs, and having defeated the wolf, they have lost their house to a greater foe. Eminent domain has taken their poor little piggy house, and they're going to turn it into a Walmart. So that is obviously, kind of anti-eminent domain in that case. Let's see. And one more article with a specific eminent domain case. Okay, so those are the sources. Skim and read as necessary to kind of get the gist of this. And then you can take a look at the student responses. As previously, we have sample A through I, and they are definitely not in order of bad to good or good to bad. It's just interspersed all amidst. So while some you may be able to glance at and perhaps make a prediction, ultimately you will have to read them to figure out whether they are good answers or bad answers. Okay, so there's your student responses. And then for those of you who are not discussing in class, and this does include anyone who is absent from the class discussion, you will need to post in here and have your reply, and tell me what you think about these essays. Synthesis is definitely a bit different from the other types, so you may want to take a look at the synthesis grading rubric, because there are a few things in the grading rubric that really only apply to the synthesis essay. So anyways, you should click reply, post some things, talk about the samples, and yeah, that'll be that. Okay, so I think that's about all I have to say about that for now, and I'll talk more about the individual essays in Monday's video, and I'll make sure that week 11 opens up a little bit early so that 8A people can check out, what's the word I'm looking for? Check out the feedback before you actually get in class and you're about to take the synthesis essay. So anyways, that's all for week 10, Friday.